It's Thursday. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the 9 at Night. I'm Stephania Jimenez. Now, if you have electricity right now, be grateful because some areas across the hill country are still in the dark. Our Camelia Juarez spoke with people in Fair Oaks Ranch earlier today.
Fair Oaks Ranch resident Charles Mangelsorf says his family spent last night trying to keep warm.
We just closed up all the blinds and the curtains, try to keep the warmth in one room, got the dogs in there as well.
Fair Oaks Ranch near Bernie has been without power throughout the night and into the early morning. A CPS mobile community center set up outside of Fair Oaks Elementary. It provided warmth and phone chargers.
We do have some down poles and lines here in Fair Oaks Ranch. They already have crews mobilized trying to get those back up and running.
Meanwhile, just down the road, people living in Bulverde and Spring Branch were in the dark overnight as downed power lines were being cleared. The Pedernales Electric Cooperative says it's still unclear when power will be restored because the damage is extensive. Just take a look. Ice is still thawing and falling from this tower. Meanwhile, Bulverde residents are losing business and patience. Alexis Washington works at the front desk of a hotel. She says there's been countless cancellations, but she's trying to accommodate guests best she can.
We're giving people flashlights. We actually cooked breakfast on our grill out back this morning.
Washington says she's lost all the food in her fridge and is becoming frustrated.
You want to be back in the warmth and it makes you resourceful, but you want your power back.
Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Totally understandable. Now, Camelia mentioned Spring Branch, and we're checking out the situation there tonight on the Nightbeat at 10 o'clock. It has warmed up a lot. So now let's prepare you for the start of your weekend. Here's meteorologist Adam Caskey with your forecast.
Temperatures falling off tonight, but no moisture, so we're not going to have any icing issues. Little below freezing north of San Antonio and even west of town. And by the afternoon tomorrow, warmer. 58 degrees the high. A little bit of morning fog, otherwise total sunshine. Afternoons only get warmer from there. 60s on Saturday, 70s on Sunday and even Monday. Next chance of rain comes next Tuesday.
So as we continue to clean up and recover from this week's weather-related damage, many people are wondering if their insurance company is going to pick up some of the costs associated with things like downed trees. Meteorologist Mia Montgomery looked into that.
As the sun rose Wednesday morning, pictures of ice damage like broken tree limbs, downed power lines, and even uprooted trees came flooding in. It turns out several elements like tree symmetry, branch structure, and strong winds can amplify the breakage process when ice is involved. Along with that, our trees have gone through a lot with prolonged drought conditions and recent weather events.
The effects that we typically see with drought are stress. And our trees have gone through a lot of stressful events recently, as well as the ice storm back in 2021. And so that accumulation of stress, could weaken a tree's health.
Some broken branches ended up causing damage to homes and vehicles. So how do you know if your insurance plan will cover the repairs? According to experts, the comprehensive part of your auto policy comes into play after you meet your deductible. If there is damage to your home, check your homeowner's policy for exact details.
Homeowners policies can vary across the board depending on company, type of structure. So you definitely want to stay connected, contact your insurance company, and really get that claims process rolling.
If your next step is cleanup, there is some advice that you should follow when going about that process.
The priorities would be there, have your safety in mind, remove those sort of more critical limbs, and then wait a little bit to assess the tree to see if any more limbs need to be removed.
Ice will be ice, but experts say that regularly maintaining your trees and pruning for good balanced structure could help prevent additional breakage in the future. Mia Montgomery, KSAT 12 News.
This weather is one of the reasons why people in New Braunfels have to boil their water before they drink it. A power outage caused water pressure there to drop, which of course affects the quality of water. New Braunfels Utilities says that the notice is for its customers who live in the River Chase pressure zone. The utility says that low water pressure could create a breeding ground for harmful bacteria. So the company is telling people in that area to boil all the water that they use to drink and brush their teeth or wash their hands. NBU has not said how long it's going to take for the water pressure there to go back to normal. Slick roads caused a rollover crash near downtown. Happened at 11 o'clock last night on I-35 southbound near South Alamo Street. Police said the driver lost control because of the slippery road and then rolled their vehicle. EMS checked on that person who was okay. No other vehicles were involved. Look at that. It's on its side. And the good news is no injuries were reported here. In other news, a dog bit a police officer as the officer was helping with a domestic violence situation. The officer responded to the call of a 17-year-old assaulting his father at the La Quinta Inn near Southwest Military. And when officers knocked on the door of the room, 2 dogs charged at them. One officer went to the parking lot, but one of the dogs bit the other in the abdomen and backside. The officer then pulled out his gun and shot the dog. Police then arrested the teenager for family violence, and the officer was taken to a nearby hospital and placed on administrative duty. At this time, though, we don't know how that dog is doing. 2 more Uvalde School District police officers have left the force. According to the Uvalde Leader News, officers Adrian Gonzalez and Ruby Gonzalez left the Consolidated Independent School District on January 1st. Here's the question, though. We don't know why they left. The Texas House Committee investigative report found that both of those officers, however, did respond to the Robb Elementary School shooting on May 24th. So now to your money and what another hike to the federal funds rate means to you. It's likely going to cost you more to carry a credit card balance or even buy a car. But as 12 on your side's Marilyn Morris reports, it can also mean that you have more money in your savings account.
If you pay with plastic, you can expect the interest rate on that credit card to climb again.
The fact that the Fed has now raised 4.5 percentage points since last March, that has a big effect on your credit card bill, especially if you're only making minimum payments.
The average credit card rate is already near a whopping 20%. If you can't pay your cards off, Bankrate's Ted Rossman suggests moving your balance to a card promoting 0% interest.
These last as long as 21 months, and that could really be a tremendous tailwind for helping you get out of debt.
Renovating your home with a home equity line of credit, that's about to cost you more. And the cost of borrowing to buy a house or a new car might be pushed higher too. Those loans are already much steeper than last year. The average 30-year fixed mortgage is now 6.3%, up from 3.8%. And the average 5-year car note is more than 6%. A year ago, it was less than 4%, all meaning you pay thousands more over the life of the loans. But there is an upside to all of these rate hikes, and that has to do with your savings account.
I think it's a really important tip to shop around for the best yield because the big banks are still offering next to nothing.
He says some banks, particularly online, are offering 4 and even 5% interest on your savings, and that can add up. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
But also keep in mind, when you get a lot of money that way, you also have to report it to the IRS. Okay, now before we go, you saw it already. This is something you never want to see or even experience, and that is a snake in your toilet. That is the call that a snake catcher received in Queensland, Australia. Someone found a 4-foot snake in a toilet basin at a home. And apparently this is kind of common. In Australia, snakes often make their way into homes during the summer months seeking water. In this case, the snake catcher caught the snake and then released it back into the wild. Could you imagine? We're out of time. The 9 at Night returns tomorrow. Have a lovely night and stay warm.